Alright, so today I'll be talking to you about what post-hardcore and metalcore are, and what they sound like, and also how it's changed to maintain its popularity. What is post-hardcore and metalcore? They're subgenres of metal that kind of branched off from hardcore punk. It began in the mid to late 80s, and it constantly changed its sound to what we have today. Qualities that are important to this genre are the fast-paced drumming, rhythmic guitars, the bass, something called breakdowns, which I'll get into later, screamed vocals, and sometimes clean vocals, which are just normal vocals. Lyrics began with more of a sad concept and issues, but slowly they evolved throughout time. Beginning in the early 2000s, we had bands trying to scream. It was kind of a new concept in a way. They didn't really know what sounded good or bad, so they just released as many albums as they could, and then eventually it kind of stuck. Bands I associate with this time are Silverstein, Hawthorne Heights, and The Used. They were all trying to find a unique sound to bring to the scene. Silverstein's a good example because they released 2 EPs in the early 2000s, and eventually they came out with When Broken Is Easily Fixed, which was their first big hit. They were all good at finding a unique scream, and they were kind of, not really the pioneers because it began in the 80s, but in the early 2000s, they were the pioneers that started post-hardcore. So then we head into the 2004 to 2006. To me, this was kind of the golden age. More bands became known, more bands came up in rows, and lyrics were more uplifting and meaningful, and screaming was more prominent. It wasn't just in the background anymore, it became a more part of the song. Instruments sounded better, and audio technology got better, so recording sounded better. Bands that I associate with this and began their mastering their craft around this time are Skylit Drive, Escape the Fate, August Burns Red, and Born of Osiris. And these are just a few. There's tons around this time that really began. So then we move into the 2007 era, which I call the breakdown years. Now, a breakdown can be kind of described as like a part in the song that is built up. It's built up to the breakdown. The drums begin kind of using the double foot pedals, and the rhythmic guitars kind of follow a pattern, and it kind of pulls off like this cool sound that usually, keeps you kind of shocked. I have examples later in the video so you guys can kind of hear it. So the issue around this time was the fact that bands weren't really being original, or it was more so the fact that breakdowns were in every single song, or multiple ones were. So people, or bands would easily be able to fill up their albums with nothing but breakdowns, which kind of were uninspiring and weren't original. And breakdowns really could tie a song together, but when you have multiple ones, it didn't have that same effect. So now we head into the synth epidemic. This was in 2010 to roughly 2011. This was a time where bands used auto-tune and synthesizers. This was also the time when dubstep and electronic and trap music kind of appeared and gained popularity. Bands such as Attack Attack, I See Stars, Everyone Dies in Utah are just a few that created entire synth albums. Around this time, you couldn't listen to an album without the electronic influence. But in late 2011, it started kind of dying out. You kind of had a few bands that would continue it, and also created genres such as dubcore and synthcore, kind of, because of post-hardcore and metalcore, so they kind of had an influence with electronic. So then we head into 2012 and 2014. This was when bands were kind of experimenting. We didn't see much change. Every band kind of did their own thing. They kind of wanted to bring something new to the table, but nothing really stuck until Bring Me the Horizon released Sempiternal, which was their latest album in 2013. This album kind of had nu metal influences in it, and nu metal is kind of, if you heard Linkin Park, early Linkin Park, it's kind of like a yell, not really a scream. Again, it's kind of hard to explain. I have examples in the video that you can kind of hear. This trend continued when Of Mice and Men released Restoring Force in 2014. It also had new metal influences, and you can kind of hear how it's changed, and they kind of took what Bring Me the Horizon kind of did. Now, what I think will happen, a possible new trend, currently it kind of seems that if this new metal influence takes off, the scene could split, and there could be genres for the new metal influence. But also there's, the genre seems to be going back into the early years, which was like, not Silverstein, but like Escape the Fate, Skylit Drive, and things like that. But we will have to see. And then I have a video kind of going through the different years. Sorry. Kind of a wake-up call for all of you. Now, as you can tell, they're kind of in the background. They're not really prominent. And this was kind of when screaming became more of a big deal. It's more of a mixture. You have the clean vocals and the screams kind of intertwining. So then we head into the breakdown years. This is what a breakdown sounds like. Right. As you can see, the drums and the guitars kind of do a pattern and kind of do a chugging kind of sound. This is another example of a breakdown. Alright, so anyway, these genres have been a huge chunk of my life, and I've been listening to this till I was probably around, I started beginning around 6. So I like seeing how these bands can influence each other and kind of see how the genre can split and influence each other and how it can change in such a short time. I can't wait to see what the next couple of years has in store for these genres. Like,